The CCP was shocked by the closure of the Chinese Consulate General in Houston, which was cited as the CCP's spy center, and remarks to destroy the communism from the U.S. Secretary of State Pompeo. And last month, a Hong Kong businessman and Chinese critic Wu Yangongi said, Xi Jinping thinks that the U.S. will not able to cut relationship with China because of the trade. But the plan which the U.S. has put forward this time is a complete plan of destruction towards the CCP. If the U.S. announces specific plans and allies countries follow, then China's economy will be literally zero. It's not really a joke, but China may become an agriculture country. Actually, Xi Jinping believes that the US and Western countries will not able to cut the relationship with China easily because of their high dependence on Chinese manufacturing and China's purchasing power. That's why China's Foreign Ministry spokesman Zhao Lijian said that if WeChat is banned in US, then Apple will be banned in China too. Also in September, China's Beijing satellite TV called the slave who has three fathers to the US Secretary of State Pompeo. But recently, a remark has been made to break the delusion of China. President Trump officially mentioned the end of the dependence on China, a key agenda item for his next second term, at the Labor Day press conference on the 7th. President Trump insisted strongly at the press conference, "We will make the U.S. a superpower of global manufacturing. Whether it's decoupling or imposing huge tariff, we will end up completely cutting off our dependence on China."
Under my administration, we will make America into the manufacturing superpower of the world, and we'll end our reliance on China once and for all. Whether it's decoupling or putting in massive tariffs like I've been doing already, we're going to end our reliance on China because we can't rely on China.
Since early September, Xi Jinping has been busy deceiving the world through the show like a Fisher closure of the C-19 in China. But some countries, including the US, have been preparing plans to drive China out of the global industrial supply chain. Recently, two groups around the world are reorganizing their own industrial supply chains, excluding China. And the first group is a three-way supply chain for Japan, India, and Australia. Trade ministers from the three countries said in the joint statement on September 1st that they will work together to strengthen their own supply chains. China has not been mentioned, but the three countries have shown an intention to reduce their dependence on China by using the term strengthening supply chain in the Indo-Pacific region. The anger of their citizens against the CCP is also contributing to this strategy. Out of the three countries, India and Japan are in territorial dispute with China, and especially India has a strong anti-China sentiment with a number of deaths in the recent border clashes, so their military tensions are at their peak. Next is Australia. After Australia claiming that the origin of the C-19 should be independently investigated, since June China did trade retaliation such as stop importing beef, wine, and stop sending students to Australia. Editor-in-chief of the Global Times Hu Xijin even brought to Australians' anger to climax by saying that Australia is like a chewing gum stuck on sole of our shoes. In June, Australia's Lowy Institute did a poll of 1,200 Australians and showing how serious anti-China sentiment in Australia is. 46% of Australians worry that China could pose a military threat in the future, and 79% of Australians felt that China is an economic partner that no country could believe. So are these three countries capable of reconstructing the new industrial supply chain without China? Last year's trade volume with the three countries in China reached $43 million. Therefore, it is not easy for them to reorganize their industrial supply chain with excluding China. But total GDP of Japan, India, and Australia in 2018 was about $9 trillion, less than in China, which was $13 trillion, but enough to counteract. In addition, the three trade ministers have decided to ask ASEAN countries to join them in the future. So if Japan, which has a strong influence in Southeast Asia, succeed in attracting ASEAN, Japan will be able to do research and development. Australia and ASEAN will provide the raw materials. India and ASEAN will become manufacturing bases to form a new supply chain. But if this first group doesn't succeed, there is a more powerful second group. It's a combination of the United States, Europe, Japan, and Taiwan. In fact, these countries have recently joined hands in Taiwan. The American Association of America in Taiwan held a supply chain reorganization forum on the 1st, involving representative of the EU and Japanese government representative in Taiwan and even the chairman of the Czech Parliament. The reason why it has been impossible for any country to leave China is that any country fails if they decouple from China on its own. For example, only the US and UK block Huawei, and if Germany and France don't join it, then the decoupling operation will fail. Likewise, even if the US stops supplying semiconductors to China, it will fail if Taiwan and Korea do not join it. Also, even if the US bans the export of soybean to China, it will also fail if South American countries and Brazil do not participate. So to isolate the CCP internationally, all countries must unite. But this time, given the Wuhan pneumonia and the Hong Kong situation, there is an opportunity to act as one. After passing the Hong Kong's national security law, the word 천멸중공 begins to emerge from each country. 천멸중공 means heaven destroys the CCP. Numerous liberal democracies that were not believed to be affected by the CCP have been severely threatened and damaged. Also, earlier this year, through China's example of Moscow holding, many countries realized that it would be difficult to protect the lives of their citizens without reducing their dependence on China. So the CCP, not China, became the public enemy of the humanity. Global companies are already preparing for it. According to the survey conducted last July by QIMA, a global consulting company, 93% of US companies are planning to relocate their supply chains from China. Also, Apple is pushing ahead with the plan to move its production facilities in China to India and Vietnam. We've realized that we've relied too much on China's manufacturing partners. Japan also provided subsidy to 87 local companies to help them escape China. South Korea's Samsung had continued to relocate its production plant in China, and in September 2019, they moved their last smartphone production plant in Huzhou, Guangdong province to India and Vietnam. In addition, the US will impose sanctions on China's high-value-added industries and the semiconductor industry, which is the basis for high-tech development. Last August, Zhang Lujing, founder of Chinese semiconductor manufacturer SMIC, said that US sanctions are not strong. China can quickly catch up with the United States. But shortly after that remarks, the United States began considering placing SMIC on the sanction list, and eventually, on September 26, SMIC was restricted from exporting. SMIC is China's largest semiconductor consignment producer, and also the only semiconductor manufacturer in China capable of mass producing 14nm process, and is responsible for 15 to 30% of China's semiconductor supply. Therefore, if SMIC is a hit, China's semiconductor industry, which lacks original technology, will be more difficult to recover. In addition, as Taiwan's TSMC, Samsung, and SK Hynix stopped supplying semiconductors to Huawei, the problem with China's IT industry is getting worse. Also, unidentified explosion happened at the Huawei Institute in Guangdong Province, China on the 25th. But these are not the only problems which China needs to solve. Officially, Google and Facebook have shut down their business plan because of security issues related to the CCP. Last month, Google and Facebook canceled the plans for the Pacific Optical Cable Undersea Network linking Los Angeles to Hong Kong, because of the concerns of the Chinese government will collect US communications traffic on cable network installed in Hong Kong. Also on the 6th, President Trump issued an executive order to the Department of Commerce to ban Chinese apps such as TikTok and WeChat from doing business in the US with the name of clean internet policies. In addition, the US has cancelled visas for 1,000 Chinese students and researchers who are deemed to be at risk for security. Indeed, until the outbreak of Wuhan pneumonia, the world thought it was impossible to economically decouple with China. But now citizens around the world are angry with the CCP, and politicians and countries that choose to take the anti-China routes are gradually pressing the CCP. Like this, China is currently in confrontation with the world's great powers, and is at the fore of losing its title of world factory. Maybe the evaluation of becoming an agriculture country has been exaggerated, but China is facing such great difficulties. Thanks for watching. Be safe.